This message was not approved. It was not cleared. It was not meant to be seen. But it appeared anyway, on a looped frequency that shouldn't have existed, on devices that were never turned on, radios that hissed static suddenly speaking in flat, clipped tones, television screens that blinked black and white before flashing a single phrase in blocky green text. You were not supposed to hear this. It started around 3:06 a.m. Eastern Time, first in rural radio towers, then hijacking closed-circuit emergency alert systems in convenience stores, hospital basements, and subway terminals. Not everyone heard it, not at once. But those who did, they all said the same thing. It didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like confirmation. You've heard the rumors. You've seen the patterns. Headlines that make no sense. Peace talks announced, then canceled within hours. Treaties drafted, signed, and forgotten. Alliances dissolving without reason. You think they're preparing for war, but they're not. They've already declared it. Just not to you. Somewhere in Eastern Europe, a country no longer listed on global maps vanished from public record in less than 24 hours. Not bombed, not invaded, erased. Satellite imagery looped the same two frames over and over like a video buffering reality. A border that blinked out of existence and then reappeared in the wrong place. Meanwhile, the broadcast continued. World War II is real, but it was never about territory, not about oil, not even power. It's about deletion. Something broke after 2020. That's when it began. People started waking up, not in crowds, not in protests, but in silence. In their bedrooms at 4 a.m. in the grocery aisle, standing still for too long. In hospital rooms after surgeries that hadn't been scheduled. Just flickers at first. A face in a family photo they couldn't recognize. A calendar date that didn't belong to any day of the week. A childhood memory that the rest of the family denied ever happened. Years started to feel too long, or too short. People felt like they'd skipped something, like we jumped timelines and forgot the landing. A growing feeling settled in the bones of millions. This isn't the life I was supposed to be living. And governments noticed. The same way you'd notice a crack forming across a mirror. Too thin to be dangerous at first, but growing. They tried to keep it quiet, until they couldn't. For the first time in human history, they agreed on one thing. This world is not real. Not entirely. They don't call it Earth anymore. Not in their encrypted transmissions. They call it Sequence 9. An unstable synthetic loop. A containment field. A replica of Earth stitched together using fragments of old versions. Running on borrowed time and decaying algorithms. Sequence 9 was never meant to last. Its expiration date? 2025. That's the cutoff. The end of the cycle. No reset button. No second chance. And now, the ones in power, the ones who've always known, have decided to burn it all down. They're not fixing the simulation. They're collapsing it. From the inside. The wars? They're not meant to be won. They're not real. Not in the way you think. They're signals. Loud, visible, global, distractions. Cover operations designed to keep your eyes glued to fire, smoke, and flags, while the structure underneath dissolves. Before too many of us start to remember. Because some of you are remembering. Little things at first. Why did the moon seem too close last week? When did Australia shift that far northeast on the map? Why did my hometown suddenly lose a highway that had always been there? And bigger things. Why do I remember events no one else does? Why does every political broadcast feel off by half a second? Why does the national anthem sound like it's being sung from underwater? That's why no one is stopping it. Not the presidents, not the parliaments, not the peacekeepers. They know. They've chosen silence. That's why every broadcast feels wrong. That's why every map keeps shifting. That's why your memories don't quite line up with the people around you. They're not fighting each other. They're fighting us. The ones still here, still awake, still clinging to the illusion like it hasn't already started to break. We are the interference, the artifacts. We are the threat to the system because we remember something else. Something older, maybe something real. You think the world is collapsing, but it isn't. It's being dismantled by design. And when the last switch flips, you won't hear an explosion. No mushroom clouds, no sirens, just silence. Then static, then nothing. This is not a war for survival. It's a war to end the program. And if you're hearing this, if you've made it this far, you've already been flagged. They know you're awake. They know what you suspect, and they won't let you warn anyone else. Because 2025 is not the future. It's the reset. There is no countdown, no sirens, no televised announcement. The reset doesn't arrive like a storm. It slips in sideways, through corrupted memories, through radio static and skipped seconds. If you're waiting for the end of the world, you've already missed it. It ended the moment you started asking questions. It ended the moment you noticed something was off. And now Sequence 9 is unspooling. James Halpern didn't sleep after the message. He left the station on foot. His car key no longer worked. Not just in the ignition, the key itself had changed. A symbol was etched into the metal now, one he didn't recognize. 3 interlocking rings, one filled with static, one with a question mark, one with nothing at all. He walked down the road toward the gas station, but the closer he got, the more it flickered, like a bad VHS tape stuck between frames. One moment it was a quick stop, then fuel core, then unnamed facility. Inside, people stood still, not frozen, just paused. Their eyes blinked out of sync. One woman stirred her coffee for a full 5 minutes without breaking eye contact with James. The radio behind the counter was stuck on a single looped message. Sequence 9 is unstable. Endpoints are fracturing. Control is no longer synchronized. He backed out slowly, and that's when the streetlights went dark. All of them, in perfect unison. Even the stars above blinked off, not faded, off. It wasn't global war, it was global overwrite. The message had said it clearly. This is not a war for survival. It's a war to end the program. And it was working. The sky changed color every 15 seconds now. Green-gray, then inverted black-white, then solid red like the inside of a dying monitor. News apps on his phone updated faster than he could open them. Breaking. All borders suspended. New calendar adopted. Year 1 begins. Universal ID program now mandatory. Each headline stayed live for exactly 60 seconds, then disappeared, archived to nothing. People around him walked like normal, smiled, laughed, talked, but their eyes never moved. Their mouths repeated the same sentences. Nice weather, huh? You watching the game tonight? Nice weather, huh? You watching the game tonight? A woman bumped into him on the sidewalk, dropped her grocery bag. It spilled onto the concrete, and there was nothing inside. Just empty boxes, labels, no contents. The illusion was breaking. Later that night, James found himself in a motel room off Route 89. He didn't check in. No one was at the desk. The clerk had been a mannequin, or something pretending not to be. He locked the door behind him, pulled the blinds. On the television, a signal override flickered in again. The same text. They're not deleting the world. They're deleting your version of it. The structure remains, but the data is being replaced. Your memories, your connections, your purpose. James reached into his wallet. Every photo was blank. His driver's license said only, name, Sequence 9, status, obsolete reset, 13 hours, 47 minutes, and 21 seconds. It was counting down. He opened the closet. Inside was a mirror, but his reflection didn't move. Not quite. It looked like him, but it twitched a half-second behind, as if buffering. When he raised his hand, it raised its hand. When he leaned forward, it leaned forward. Then it smiled. James didn't. This was the final phase. They weren't just ending the simulation. They were replacing the ones who noticed, replacing you. Elsewhere across the world, similar reports filtered through broken forums and vanishing chat logs. A teacher in Ohio saw her students all turn their heads at once in perfect unison when the fire alarm test started. None of them blinked for 3 minutes. A truck driver in Alberta found the highway signs replaced with random dates and phrases like, "You are almost awake," and "They're listening now." A teenager in Tokyo woke up to find her room mirrored, flipped exactly, every poster, every object, reversed. Her parents swore it had always been that way. The ones still aware called them glitches. But the message had a different name, synchronization events. Outside, the air grew still, too still. James stepped out of the motel room and saw something terrifying in its simplicity. No wind, no movement, no sound. Even the insects were gone. Not dead, not hiding, just removed. Then the broadcast returned, this time with one final update. All remaining flagged individuals will be processed. Replication units are fully operational. Sequence 10 loading. A siren sounded in the distance, but it didn't echo. It wasn't warning anyone. It was announcing something. James turned to run, but the road behind him no longer led to the same place. The signs now said, "Welcome to Sequence 10. Reality updated. New user detected," he screamed. But no sound came out. Somewhere far above the simulation, a reset key was pressed. One final confirmation. The deletion complete. Inside the motel room mirror, his replacement stepped forward. Same face, same smile, same voice. Only difference? It would never question anything.